What if I told you that the next wave of world-changing technology isn't coming from Silicon Valley, Beijing, or Berlin, but from Africa? Globe showing Europe, Africa, from self-powered engines to cutting-edge medical breakthroughs. A new generation of African innovators is proving that the future of technology has no borders. We've all heard of Maxwell Chikumbutso, the Zimbabwean inventor who stunned the world with his self-powered car. But he's not alone. Today, we're diving deep into the stories of 5 trailblazing African inventors whose groundbreaking ideas are rewriting the rules of global innovation. Stay tuned. You won't believe what they're building. For too long, the global tech narrative has focused on the West and Asia. But Africa has quietly been cultivating a generation of inventors, engineers, and visionaries, each tackling challenges unique to the continent, and in the process, creating technologies that could transform the entire world. Let's start with a man who needs little introduction, Maxwell Chikumbutso. From a humble background in Zimbabwe, he shocked the world with a self-powered generator, electric cars that never need charging, and even a green energy helicopter. His work challenged the boundaries of physics and sparked debates across scientific communities. Meet Dr. Samuel Achilefu, a Nigerian-American scientist whose invention is saving lives in operating rooms. He developed cancer-detecting glasses that allow surgeons to see tumors in real time, glowing like stars against healthy tissue. Imagine the impact. Faster surgeries, fewer mistakes, and countless lives saved. In Kenya, Evans Wadongo took on 2 massive challenges: poverty and lack of electricity. His invention? The solar-powered LED lamp that replaced dangerous kerosene lamps in rural villages. Beyond providing light, his lamps opened doors to education, productivity, and opportunity after sunset. For many communities, it was nothing short of revolutionary. In South Africa, Ludwig Marishane faced a simple but urgent problem. Millions of people lacked access to clean water for bathing. His solution? Dry bath gel, a waterless bath product that allows users to stay clean and hygienic without a drop of water. In regions plagued by drought, this invention could change everything. And then, there's Regina Jair, a Ghanaian software developer breaking barriers in tech. Through her initiative, she's not just coding. She's teaching thousands of young Africans, especially women, to code, innovate, and build. Her vision? An Africa where technology isn't imported, but created at home. These 5 innovators are proof that Africa isn't just catching up. It's leading in ways the world can no longer ignore. From energy to health, education to sustainability, they are redefining what's possible. And here's the truth: the next global tech revolution won't be owned by a single country. It will be a collaboration of minds across continents. But if you look closely, you'll see Africa is already shaping that future. So the question is, will the world pay attention? If you found this story inspiring, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we'll be bringing you more untold stories of innovators rewriting the future. Globe showing Europe, Africa sparkles. These innovators are not just solving African problems. They're creating solutions that ripple across the globe. Think about it. A waterless bath product from South Africa could revolutionize how we deal with drought-stricken areas in the Middle East or California. Solar-powered lamps from Kenya could illuminate rural parts of Asia or Latin America where electricity is scarce. And Maxwell Chikumbutso's self-powered engines? If proven scalable, they could disrupt the trillion-dollar energy and automotive industries worldwide. What makes these stories even more fascinating is that most of these inventors started with little to nothing. No billion-dollar venture capital funds, no world-class research labs. Instead, they relied on ingenuity, persistence, and a determination to solve real problems around them. This grassroots approach often makes their inventions more practical, affordable, and adaptable than technologies born in the high-tech laboratories of wealthier nations. Yet, despite these breakthroughs, recognition often lagged behind. Many African inventors battle skepticism, underfunding, and even outright dismissal of their work. The global spotlight rarely shines on them, unless their stories become too big to ignore. And this raises an uncomfortable question. How many more revolutionary ideas are being overlooked simply because they're born outside the so-called centers of innovation? Imagine if the same resources poured into Silicon Valley were directed toward African innovators. What would the world look like if Maxwell Chikumbutso had the backing of Tesla or Toyota? What if Dr. Samuel Achilefu's cancer-detecting glasses were mass-produced and distributed to hospitals worldwide? The possibilities are staggering. But here's the truth. Things are beginning to shift. With Africa's rapidly growing tech hubs, in cities like Nairobi, Lagos, Cape Town, and Accra, the continent is becoming a fertile ground for innovation. International investors are taking notice, and global companies are beginning to partner with African talent. What was once seen as the periphery of technology is quickly becoming its next frontier. And perhaps that's the most powerful part of the story. These inventors aren't waiting for permission. They aren't waiting for validation from the West. They are creating, building, and innovating regardless of the challenges. And in doing so, they're not only redefining technology, they're redefining Africa's place in the global future. Understood, thumbs up. I'll continue the narrative right where I left off, still in paragraph form, keeping it flowing like a sophisticated documentary-style script. The story of African innovation is not just about gadgets or groundbreaking science. It is about resilience, vision, and rewriting the global narrative. For decades, Africa was portrayed as a consumer of technology, not a producer. But today, that stereotype is breaking apart. These inventors are proving that the continent is not only capable of competing, but of leading in ways that surprise even the most advanced economies. At the heart of this transformation is a deeper truth. Necessity drives invention. In communities where access to electricity, clean water, or healthcare is scarce, inventors are pushed to think differently. Instead of creating luxury products for profit, they develop technologies born out of urgent need, solutions that are life-saving, sustainable, and scalable. This is what makes African innovation so unique. It's not just about convenience. It's about survival, dignity, and opportunity. Take Evans Warango's solar lamps as an example. A simple device, affordable, durable, and effective, has the power to change a child's education, a family's safety, and even an entire community's future. Now contrast that with the billions spent on high-tech consumer gadgets in wealthier nations, many which solve no real problem beyond entertainment. It becomes clear that innovation from Africa carries a different weight. It is purposeful, impactful, and deeply human. And this is exactly why the world should be paying attention. Global corporations are beginning to recognize the untapped potential. Partnerships are forming between African startups and international investors, while universities across the continent are nurturing a new wave of engineers, coders, and entrepreneurs. In cities like Nairobi, Lagos, and Kigali, entire ecosystems are emerging. Tech hubs buzzing with startups, incubators, and venture funds that are supporting young entrepreneurs. These places are quickly becoming centers of gravity for innovation, drawing in talent from across the continent. And unlike many Western hubs, these ecosystems are rooted in solving practical problems. Whether it's access to clean energy, affordable housing, or digital finance for the unbanked. The fintech revolution in Africa is one striking example. With millions of people lacking access to traditional banks, African innovators pioneered mobile money platforms like M-Pesa, which have since inspired financial technologies around the globe. What began as a solution for rural communities in Kenya has now become a model studied and adapted by financial institutions worldwide. It is another reminder that the continent's ideas are not just relevant locally, they are universal. Meanwhile, young African inventors are proving that age is no barrier to impact. From high school students building drones and robotics to university graduates creating AI-powered health diagnostics, the pipeline of talent is growing stronger each year. Many of these young minds are driven by a desire to solve challenges they see in their own neighborhoods, giving their work an authenticity and urgency that can't be replicated in sterile corporate labs. And then there's the cultural factor. African societies, deeply rooted in community and collaboration, often approach innovation with a sense of collective responsibility. Technologies are not built just for profit, but for people, for families, villages, and nations. This spirit of social responsibility makes their inventions not only groundbreaking, but also deeply ethical in design and purpose. All of this is happening against the backdrop of a rapidly changing global landscape. As traditional powerhouses in the West face slowing growth in saturated markets, Africa's youthful population, expanding middle class, and abundance of raw creativity position it as a continent of unparalleled potential. The inventors rising today are simply the early signs of a much larger transformation on the horizon. As Africa's innovation wave builds momentum, global attention is slowly but surely turning toward the continent. Tech giants like Google, Microsoft, and Amazon are investing heavily in Africa, not just to sell products, but to tap into an extraordinary pool of talent. Data centers are being built, coding academies are expanding, and partnerships with universities are multiplying. These investments signal something crucial. The world is beginning to see Africa not as a follower, but as a leader in shaping the digital future. Yet, even with this recognition, the journey is far from easy. Many African inventors still face systemic obstacles, limited funding, lack of infrastructure, and regulatory barriers that stifle innovation. Too often, promising projects struggle to move from prototype to production simply because the resources to scale are scarce. But what sets these innovators apart is their persistence. They keep building, keep experimenting, and keep pushing boundaries even when the odds are stacked against them. What makes this movement especially powerful is the diversity of fields it touches. It is not limited to energy or healthcare. Across the continent, innovators are experimenting in artificial intelligence, agriculture, aerospace, and even blockchain. Startups are designing AI-powered chatbots that speak in African languages, ensuring that technology is inclusive. Agritech companies are developing smart irrigation systems that conserve water and boost crop yields, helping farmers adapt to climate change. Meanwhile, in the field of aerospace, African innovators are making bold strides. In Nigeria, young engineers have been experimenting with locally built satellites, proving that space technology is no longer the exclusive domain of a few wealthy nations. Their work might not yet rival NASA or SpaceX, but it demonstrates a critical point. The hunger to explore and innovate exists everywhere, and Africa is no exception. Perhaps one of the most exciting developments is how innovation is beginning to merge with tradition. Across Africa, inventors are blending indigenous knowledge with modern science to create hybrid solutions. From eco-friendly building materials inspired by ancient construction techniques to sustainable farming methods enhanced with digital tools, these combinations reflect the continent's ability to bridge the past with the future. It's a reminder that true innovation often comes from honoring heritage while embracing progress. And as these stories continue to unfold, one thing becomes increasingly clear. Africa's inventors are not waiting for permission from the world stage. They are claiming their space, rewriting their narrative, and proving that the future of technology will not be dictated by geography, but by creativity, courage, and vision. And so, as we trace the journeys of Maxwell Chikumbutso, Samuel Achilefu, Evans Wadongo, Ludwig Marishane, Regina Jair, and countless others, a larger truth emerges. Africa is not waiting for the future. It is building it. From labs in Zimbabwe to workshops in Kenya, from classrooms in Ghana to innovation hubs in Nigeria, the continent is shaping technologies that will touch every corner of the globe. The brilliance of these inventors does more than inspire. It forces us to challenge old assumptions about where innovation can come from. For too long, the world looked only to Silicon Valley, to Europe, or to Asia for the next big breakthrough. But the tide is turning. Africa is no longer an afterthought in the story of technology. It is becoming one of its main characters. What makes this movement unstoppable is the energy of its people. Africa is the world's youngest continent, with more than 60% of its population under the age of 25. That youth, combined with resilience and creativity, is fueling a technological renaissance that the world cannot afford to ignore. Every invention, whether it's a solar lamp or a cancer-detecting device, carries within the potential to transform millions of lives. This is not just about gadgets or science. It's about rewriting history. It's about proving that brilliance knows no borders, and that the future belongs not to one nation, but to humanity as a whole. And if we're paying attention, we can already see where that future is being built. Right now, across the heart of Africa. So the next time you hear the word innovation, don't just think of California or China. Think of Harare. Think of Lagos. Think of Nairobi. Think of Accra. Because beyond Maxwell Chikumbutso, there are countless African minds ready to redefine the very meaning of progress.